Hey guys, this is Family of Tech, and today we're going to be talking about 6 tips and tricks for shooting better video with your Sony A6400. And make sure you stick around till the end because we're going to be talking about camera settings, picture profiles, and camera accessories for a way better filmmaking experience. So let's check it out. Alright guys, so let's jump right into the video. Tip number 1, and this is one that's been talked about a million times on YouTube, and it's about Sony's color science. Sony has been improving over the last couple of years with their color science to the point that you can get amazing results straight out of the camera without having to color grade your footage. I did an entire video that you can check it out right after this one showing you image quality of the new Sony color science versus a very popular paid picture profile called EOS HD. In a nutshell, Sony out of the box image quality was just as good if not superior to this other paid profile, showing you how Sony has improved over the years. So tip number 1 is that if you don't want to color grade or you don't have the time to do so, I would suggest that you try filming your next video using picture profile 0. This one you're gonna find it on menu 1, page 11 of your camera. And even more, if you want to maximize the dynamic range of the A6400 even more, make sure you activate that dynamic range feature that is on the same page 11 on menu 1. This way you will get the best dynamic range straight out of the camera. Tip number 2, and this one you probably heard it a million times, and I made a complete video on how to set this feature up on the A6400 that you can check it out right here, and it's about always white balancing your footage. I'm not going to give you a full lecture here about the importance of white balancing. I'm just going to show you with real life examples the importance of doing so. Check out this sample footage I made while I was making this video for you guys, and you will notice with your own eyes how important it is to white balance. The first sample here is taken from the kitchen under mixed lights and using automatic white balance. Look on this example how everything looks yellowish and kind of unappealing. On the other hand, the second sample footage is actually white balancing the footage with a gray card. Look how everything now looks more natural from the previous footage, so please always try to custom white balance your footage. Alright, tip number 3, and this is an easy one, is to take advantage of a feature called Clear Image Zoom. This one you're going to find on page 5, menu 2. This feature I use it all the time, especially when I'm shooting with prime lenses, and I don't have time to switch to a zoom lens. Basically what Clear Zoom does is going to zoom in up to 2 times your footage without degrading the image quality. This feature is great, especially if all you have are prime lenses, because it's going to give you that extra reach that sometimes you might need when you're shooting video. Personally, I have this feature set up on custom C2, which is the same as a trash can, for easy access for when I need it. If you don't know how to set it up, please comment down below and I will try to help you out. Tip number 4, and this one kind of depends on what computer system you use, but always try to shoot video in 4K 100 megabits per second. Basically what the Sony A6400 is gonna do is gonna take video with a resolution of 6K, but it's going to downsample it to 4K, giving you amazing results. So if you go to menu 2, page 1, and then go to file format, here you will see that you have 2 formats to choose from, 4K and HD. I always shoot video in 4K because my computer can actually handle that resolution. Unless I'm shooting slow motion, then I have to choose 1080p. So once I choose a format, then I go to record settings, and choose either 24 frames per second for a more cinematic look or 30 frames per second for a more realistic look, and that's going to depend on your preference. But regardless of that, I always choose 100 megabits per second in order to give every frame per second the more data possible. So if you choose this setting, the camera will actually use the entire camera sensor and will downsample the footage from 6K to 4K, giving you the best image possible. For tip number 5, I'm gonna give you the additional settings I use when I shoot video and for filmmaking. You can follow this step by step, or you can choose whatever setting is appropriate for you. So here we go. So if you go to menu 1 on page 1, here you want to put your camera on aspect ratio 16:9. On page 2, I have color space on RGB. On the next page, this is where you set up your time-lapse feature, but we're not talking about that today. If you jump to page 5, here you will find focus mode, and I always choose either manual focus or continuous autofocus. Focus area, I usually put it on wide or zone. On page 8, and here where you can choose your ISO and your ISO limit. I usually stick to ISO 500 when I'm shooting outdoors and 6400 when I'm shooting indoors. Now if you jump to page 11, here you can scroll down all the way to picture profile. Here is where you can choose your PP0 to get the great color straight out of the camera. But if you want to do some mild color grading, I would suggest that you stick to picture profile 6, which is Cine 2, and choose either Cinema or Pro. And lastly, on page 13, you can set up your peaking settings to get adequate exposure. I always use peaking display on, peaking level mid, I'm picking color red. And tip number 6 is to get the appropriate gear to shoot video with your Sony A6400. Unfortunately, once you get your camera, it's not only the camera and lenses that you have to worry about, it's the additional accessories that you will need to make it work. For example, if I'm planning to shoot video outside during daylight, I always take one of these variable ND filters to put on my lenses. They work as sunglasses on the lens, so this way I can always have a constant shutter speed and a constant aperture. Then I'll always use one of these cages to put additional accessories on top of my cameras, like microphone or even external lights. And lastly, I always get extra batteries and a fast SD card. The batteries on this camera is pretty bad and they run out pretty fast, so I always carry a bunch of extra batteries. That's it for today, guys. Comment down below if you think there's something else you would add to this list, and don't forget to subscribe for more camera, tech and door reviews. Thanks for watching.